One day last spring, had you been in a public park in White Plains, New York, you would have seen this married, childless couple. They were there to choose a son. Across the lawn, a little boy named Billy, who had no parents, sat with a lady from an adoption agency. The adult computations of medicine and psychology and statistics were finished. It remained only on this spring day for the hopeful child to meet the hopeful parents.
This for you. Oh, hi. Oh. Hi, there's somebody.
If the human alchemy worked in this first meeting, if they liked one another, Billy would become the first son of Charles and Marie. He would be a chosen child. And so, Charles and Marie, having chosen little Billy, have reached the successful end of their long and intricate search for a child. The fact that Billy, who is 2, accepts them means that we have reached the happy ending of their story.
So let me get this straight. The whole movie took place now? Because then that would mean, that part was so frustrating. What do you think happened in the end? With the police?
I don't know, Erin.
What would they even say to the police? I am Arthur, king of the Britons. No, I don't think that would hold up in court.
Probably not.
But what was the deal with the bunny? Dennis, I need answers.
You ask so many questions. Curiosity killed the cat, you know?
What can I say? It's already 6:40. We're supposed to be at my parents' house in 20 minutes.
Oh, I forgot about dinner. Stay here. I got the car.
Isn't he a fox? We both grew up here in Austin, but we didn't meet until we started going to the same college in California. It's funny how that worked out, you know? Small world. Since then, we've been living and working out there and visiting our families whenever we can. Both of our moms are very adamant that we move back. I mean, it would be nice to live closer to home, but for now, I'm enjoying living out on the West Coast. We're visiting my parents for the week, so I can spend more time with them. They always like to make such a huge deal out of every visit. I guess it's because I'm an only child. I always wish I had siblings. I never really felt super connected with anyone in my family. I don't know what it is, but between my cousins and aunts, uncles, and even my parents, I just always felt like there was something missing. I know that sounds really dumb, but... Oh, there's Dennis.
Wow. I'm stuffed.
Me too, Mom. You really outdid yourself this time.
Well, I hope y'all aren't too full for dessert, though. I made peach cobbler and praline bread pudding. It's a family recipe, Dennis.
Well, then I guess I have no choice.
I'll be careful, though, Dennis. Before I met Irene, I weighed about as much as you. Look at me now.
Oh, don't listen to him.
So, how's California been treating you two?
Oh, wonderful as always. I really want you and Mom to visit. I think you would absolutely love it.
Well, you know your mother isn't quite sold on long trips like that, but I'm sure if there's something special happening.
Oh, like what?
Let me help you. Wow, this smells really delicious, Mrs. Birt.
Mrs. Birt, why don't you just call me Mom already?
Mom!
Well, actually, there's something that I've been wanting to do for a while now. Erin, I love you. And when I think of the future, I like to picture us together, creating family, growing old. I know you're the only person that I want to share the rest of my life with, so... Will you marry me?
This young lady, whose name is Patricia Gray, is an adoption case worker. The choosing begins here.
We usually will take our inquiries by telephone or by letter, and we hear from a couple, getting some of the factual information that we would need, and then we would offer you an appointment as soon as we could for both you and your husband to come into the office.
The people who choose the parents are a small group with an immense responsibility. On behalf of a benevolent government, these ladies are the civil servants of children without parents. Across the United States, the quality of public adoption agencies varies greatly, as do the laws that govern them. Their choices lie in files and forms and documents. Each one of these papers is a biography, and often a tragic one. A 15-year-old high school girl who got in trouble. A destitute widow. The victim of a highway traffic accident. These are the donors of the children.
Dear Erin, it seems it has taken me forever to think of what to say to you. I still can't quite muster up the right words, but here are some things I would like to express to you. 23 years ago, I was single, very lost and very confused. When the doctor told me I was pregnant, I was thrilled because the thing I wanted most out of life was to get married, have children. I thought I would have a beautiful child in my life to give my love to, but my parents didn't want me to raise you. My father was the principal of my high school, the only one in Bluffdale, and didn't want my actions to ruin the family's reputation. He planned for me to stay in the Edna Gladney home in Fort Worth during my pregnancy, and although it was only an hour away from my family and friends, it felt like another world. After giving birth, I was told I couldn't see you. Didn't know why, but I had to see you. I needed you to know I was there. So the next day, for a few minutes, I watched you through a hospital window. You were beautiful. Later that day, I was taken to an office in the hospital with a caseworker, and she put these papers in front of me and said I had to sign them. Once I realized what they were, I tried to stop her, but it was too late. She said the adoptive family was already on their way and that I had already made my choice, but to make a choice, you need to be given more than one option. And I was never given more than one option. Since then, I met my husband, who is a wonderful man. We have 2 children, both teenagers, and they know about you. All they talk about is wanting to meet their big sister. I never want to come between you and your family, Erin, but I want to meet you and get to know you. I hope someday we can do just that, and I can answer any questions you may have, or we can just get to know each other. With much love and sincerity, Betty, your birth mother.
Walter, Uncle Nick, Samantha. Oh, Mom, Aunt Jennifer says she's coming.
Well, what about her kids?
She didn't say.
Well, you better call and find out. You don't want to end up planning for 6 children at the last minute.
I do not. Aunt Jennifer, it's Erin.
Oh, honey, did you get my letter? I am so excited for you. They're going to be so beautiful. I am tearing up just thinking about it.
I got your letter, and I'm really excited you can make it.
Well, of course, sugar. I wouldn't miss it for the whole wide world. You know you always were my favorite niece, and you know how...
Mom, got to play Barbie!
I did!
Both of you be quiet in there! I am on the phone! What was I saying? I can bring my famous quiche.
Oh,
and
here's
one
the ribbon.
Angelina County cook-off, and I just know you'll love it.
The ribbon for the
And
table
that's only
decorations.
a few. That will
the
be enough for
kitchen.
everyone, and some for you to keep. If you put it in the freezer, it will last for the longest time. What was that, dear?
Oh, nothing. My mom just had a question.
So sweet that you call her that.
Well, what else would I call her? She is my mom.
Bless your soul. That is so sweet. I tell you, I remember that first day when she brought you home from the agency. You were such a bundle of energy and so happy to meet everyone.
Agency? You mean when I was brought home from the hospital, right?
No, honey, the adoption agency.
Ma!
What are y'all doing in there?
Aunt Jennifer, wait.
I'm sorry, dear. I gotta go.
No, what did you mean
Call
by...
me again if you need anything or if you just want to chat. This was
I did
so
need it.
fun. Bye now.
But
Oh, my Lord! I turned my back for 1 minute.
adoption agency? I couldn't be adopted. Could I?
I couldn't find the gray ribbon, just white. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I still think it will fit in with the color scheme, don't you?
Hello, ladies. Quite a mess you got going on here. What you been doing?
I just got off the phone with Aunt Jennifer.
She sure does talk a lot, doesn't she?
You're not wrong about that.
She said, actually, I've got to go.
Oh, so soon?
Yes, well, Dennis, he invited me to dinner, and I just can't refuse, you know, so...
Well, tell him you say hello.
Will do.
Sweetie, what's wrong?
I don't have your eyes. Either of yours. I always thought that was weird, but I never said anything. Then in the 5th grade, I remember you two were being so weird about that family tree project I had to do. I never really felt like I belonged in it. It's because I'm adopted, isn't it? So it's true. My parents didn't have much information, but they gave me what they could. I was adopted from the Edna Gladney home at 7 months. This is the non-identifying information about my birth parents from the adoption agency when I was adopted. They were from Texas, both 17 and not married. My father liked skating and movies, and my mother enjoyed writing. After spending 5 months at a home for unwed mothers, she put me up for adoption the day I was born. No names. I went to find them, and all I have to go off of are their hobbies? My mother suggested that I visit the home in case there's answers or something. I don't think she really understands why I want to find my birth parents, and I don't think I can explain it either. Imagine you're doing a puzzle, and you're so close to finishing it, but the last piece is missing. The one in the middle, the one to bring everything together. Without it, the picture is still pretty, but the place where the piece belongs is empty. You can't really finish the puzzle without it. So you either search everywhere for that one little piece, or you just accept that it's lost. I'm too stubborn for the latter.
Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the Edna Gladney home. What can I help you with today?
Well, 23 years ago, I was adopted from here, and I was wondering if I could get some information on my adopted parents, my birth parents.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Adoptees cannot get a copy of their own birth certificates.
Why is that?
For everyone's own privacy, of course.
Whose own privacy? It's a certificate of my own birth.
That's the law, sweetie. Unless, of course, you can name both parents listed on it.
I can't. Well, is there any information that you can give me?
Let me get your file and check. What's your name, miss?
Erin Birt, B-I-R-T.
And when were you surrendered?
1952. May 22nd was the day I was born.
Congrats. All right, one moment, please.
You and your adopted child. Instances of extreme curiosity and concern almost never happen. However, should a youngster ever raise the question, it is, of course, important to make it very clear that a search is unreliable and can lead to unhappiness and disillusionment. What? Excuse me?
Ma'am, that paper is not meant for you.
Not meant for me? That static can't really be what you're telling people who are wanting to adopt.
I have your file. Oh, and would you look at that? A letter. Most people don't have any of those.
Can I read it?
Not quite yet. There's quite a lot of identifiable information in here. I'll have to redact that, that, oh, definitely that.
Excuse me. Are you allowed to do that? That is my letter.
If I don't do this, you can't have it. I'll only redact what I see as absolutely necessary.
And how do you determine that? How do you decide when something's identifiable enough?
I use my judgment. You aren't questioning that, are you? Exactly. Here you go. Hopefully this can get some use to you.
Dear Erin, it seems it has taken me forever to think of what to say to you. I still can't quite muster up the right words, but here are some things I would like to express to you. I hope that someday we can do just that, and we can discuss any questions that you may have, or just get to know one another with much love and sincerity. Blank, your birth mother. Dennis, she wants to meet me.
Does that mean you can get information from the agency?
You would think that, right? According to Texas law, I can only get my birth certificate if I can name both my mother and my father.
Sounds like some sick game show.
Her name is right there, and I'm not even allowed to see it. This is so frustrating. I mean, I can kind of make out the top of the letter of the town that she may live in. A P, an R, maybe a B. But that doesn't help narrow it down much. At least the secretary there, though, gave me the letter. You should have seen him. He got so snippy with me the moment I said I was adopted.
He sounds peachy.
I left him my contact information in case there's anything they can give me, but we'll see how that goes.
You ready to go?
I guess so. I wish I could stay longer and search just a little more.
I want you to meet Lee Campbell. who is president of Concerned United Birth Parents. You had a child, how old were you, may we ask?
17.
You were 17 at the time. This was a high school pregnancy, obviously,
Right.
huh? Were your parents supportive at the time? Or
My
were they...
parents were loving. They were supportive of me placing the child for adoption because I was the oldest of 5. And we had to protect the 4 younger siblings who were involved. And
Isn't that a shame, though? As
had
you
to
look
be
back
protected.
on that, you have to be a little discouraged at attitudes of the time, aren't you?
That was a prevalent attitude, however.
Can't we agree that you really had all the guns trained on you at the time you made this decision?
I and most of other birth parents had all the guns trained on us.
So it wasn't even a conflict, and obviously you were in pain, and emotionally you had to be very depressed, but you didn't struggle with the decision because of all this pressure, did you?
I felt unworthy to struggle, that I had created this situation, and I had created the battle which had brought me to this place, and I felt very guilty about that. I felt guilty for causing so many people so much trouble, people who loved me and cared about me.
Right. You gave birth to a baby boy in 1962.
I did.
Did you see the baby?
Oh, yes. He was very tiny. He only weighed 5.5 pounds. He was 3 weeks early. And unlike some of the other experiences of birth parents, I had a very nice hospital stay. And the nurses were very kind to me, and they let him, and this is a matter of permission. A lot of birth parents aren't allowed, number one, to know whether they had a boy or a girl. Number two, they weren't permitted to see the child or to hold the child. But that wasn't my case. I was very fortunate. They allowed him to stay with me a lot.
So how long did you
cared for
hold
him.
and see your baby?
During the whole stay in the hospital.
Which was about?
About 5 days in those years. And then after I went home, I went to my social worker and I asked her if I could see him in a foster home. And she said that I was only prolonging the inevitable, that the adoptive parents had already seen him and loved him very much, and wouldn't I please just be a good girl and sign these papers. And I really was pretty malleable and had done everything that everybody had told me to do up until that point. But I did beseech her to let me see him in the foster home, and she condescended to allow this to happen. And so I saw him in the foster home a couple of times, too.
When you went to the foster home, did you play with your child? And
held him, and he wrapped his fingers around mine.
And so you really, so you said goodbye to your baby 3 different times, so to speak, yeah?
I don't know that I ever said goodbye to him.
That must have been awful,
Not in
though,
my
leaving
heart.
the hospital without your baby. Do you remember that feeling?
Yeah. I remember when I handed him back to the foster mother, and I felt that I would have to go back and I would have to sign those papers. And I looked at him and I said,
Oh, Dennis, come look at this.
What's happening?
They're talking about adoption on the Donahue show.
Really?
We'll be back in just a moment.
He was just talking to this woman, Lee Campbell. She's a birth mother.
You're Joshy.
Really, I'm not. She was talking about how 16 years ago she gave her son up for adoption and how they reunited, and they're also bringing up all these issues I never even considered.
What do you mean?
Like, needing to have your family medical history? I mean, I realized before that I had been putting down my adopted parents' information at the doctor all these years, but none of their health issues will be passed down to me. What if my father has a heart condition, or my mother is diagnosed with breast cancer? And my ethnicity. I grew up thinking I was completely Irish, but now it's a mystery. I have no idea what I am.
Are you thinking you want to start searching again? I mean, now would be a pretty good time, don't you think? I really think you should go for it.
But where would I even start? All we have are her hobbies and a glimpse into her life 27 years ago.
Then we'll start with that. Let's take a look at the letter again.
Dear Erin, it seems it has taken me forever to think of what to say to you. I still can't quite muster up. I thought that I would have a beautiful child in my life to give my love to, but my parents didn't want me to raise you. My father was the principal of my high school, the only one in blank.
And you can kind of see that starts with the B, P, or R, right?
Yes, but there has to be at least 100 towns in Texas that could start with one of those.
Maybe we can narrow it down. So her father, your grandfather, Didn't want her actions to ruin the family's reputation. Plans for her to go to the Edna Valley home in Fort Worth. There is an hour away from another for...
Do you know where our Texas map is?
One sec.
Okay, we need to find all the towns about an hour away from Fort Worth that start with either a P, a B, or an R. It took a long time, but we finally narrowed it down to the 10 most likely towns with only one high school. And then from there, we did the only thing we needed to do, and take a road trip. So we headed back to Texas, and we combed through hours and pages of yearbooks. And at the 10th town, I thought that I'd found a student named Mary Ladlow, listed as the child of Senior M. Ladlow, who is the principal at Rio Vista's only high school. I convinced myself that this had to be my mother. And that theory was quickly debunked once we found his senior portrait. Apparently, he was married junior, but we kept searching. And in the 9th town, Bluffdale, we found something pretty big.
Erin, come look at this. 1952, Bluffdale High School. Principal James O'Keefe and his daughter Betty receiving the gracious donations of typewriters for journalism club.
That's her. I'm sure of it. Things seemed to happen so quickly after that. From the library's phone book, I got her number, and I called her on the first payphone that I could find.
Hello?
Hi, is this Betty?
Yes, it is. Can I help you with anything?
Yes, Does May 22nd, 1952 mean anything to you?
That date means everything to me.
From there, we decided to meet at the park near her house. Betty said that his siblings loved to play there, and that you were really excited to meet me. I'm just nervous I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna make me look like a fool.
Erin?
And
After 27 years, I finally get to hold you.
In recent years, society has become much more open about adoption. This change started in the 1990s. Now, roughly 90% of adoptions have some form of openness, since this was found to be way healthier for everyone involved. These open adoptions usually involve birth parents giving adoptees medical or other important information. However, adoptees are still barred from accessing their original birth certificate, also called the OBC, and other adoption records.
Laws should change along with society, and in some states they are. Lawmakers on both sides of the political spectrum are in support of legislation which would restore access for adult adoptees to original birth certificates, especially once they fully understand how much the issue affects adoptees.
Today, adoptees from 22 states have gained access to OBCs.
With the advent of DNA testing and social media, it is wrong to imply that having records sealed would keep a birth parent's identity anonymous. This is a false message being sent to birth parents under current law.
Currently in Texas, for an adoptee to obtain their OBC, they must name their parents, exactly as listed on the papers, which is commonly unknown, or appear before a judge in court and convince the judge of good cause as to why they need or want their own information. However, there are 254 different counties in Texas, and each one has a different standard for what constitutes good cause.
One consequence caused by closed records is a lack of family health history.
This is a big issue faced by many adoptees since it is now known that the information can be as vitally important as the treatment itself. Family medical health history is information that every person should have, adopted or not.
Even the United States Surgeon General has recognized the importance of this information and proclaimed Thanksgiving Day as National Family Health History Day.
Many of the recently proposed bills include a way for birth parents to indicate whether they would like contact or not, or in what way. Some claim that allowing adoptees access to their records would intrude upon the privacy rights of their birth parents. However, less than 1% of birth parents in states that pass these laws indicate they don't want contact. The Texas bill includes a contact preference form so birth parents can indicate their feelings on contact. Supporters feel this gives birth parents a real voice for the first time ever in the adoption process.
The story we have told you is not unlike many others. Circumstances change and backgrounds may differ, but the desire to know who you are isn't absurd in the slightest. We all know that the most satisfying thing is fitting that last piece into the puzzle.